We're going to need to get back to music here.
Yeah.
You know, we
I'd
played
like to
some of
call
this
to
class.
order the November 9th City Commission meeting. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Larson,
Here.
Commissioner Angel,
Here.
Commissioner Arpke,
Here.
Commissioner Jennings,
Here.
Commissioner Peck.
Here.
Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, we hold our citizens forum. This is where anyone from the public can come up and speak on anything not on today's agenda. Please come up to the podium and give us your name and address. If not, there are no awards and proclamations, nor public hearings and items scheduled for a certain time, so we will move on to the consent agenda.
Item 6.1, approve the minutes of November 2nd, 2009. Item 6.2, resolution number 096673, expressing gratitude and appreciation to Stephen R. Wrench for his employment with the City of Salina from May 8th, 1989 to November 6th, 2009.
Move we approve the consent agenda. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 5-0. Development business.
Item 7.1, accept the offered utility drainage easement dedications in Block 5 of the Quail Meadows Estates Edition.
Mr. Andrew.
Mayor and Commissioners, this is a request to take an existing utility easement and convert it to a drainage easement, and also to create a new drainage easement where they are currently missing. In 2005, the Quail Meadows Estates Edition plat was approved, and because it's a very flat area with very long blocks, there were concrete drainage flumes that were installed in rear yards to help them drain and get out to the street. And that was done on every block except for the northernmost block where it butts up against the Bonnie Ridge Edition. And the developer developed several phases on Ritgers Lane without the flume and decided that rear yard drainage was not working, so for his last phase he would like to install flumes. And since the 10-foot easement that existed there was exclusively there for Westar and their pad mount transformers, we met with them, and they agreed that they would use the south 5 feet for their transformers, and the north 5 feet could be converted to carry stormwater with flumes. And then there's a second easement that would go between lots to get the rear yard water out to the streets. So these are, one is a conversion and one is a new easement that would be dedicated to the public for drainage purposes. And our recommendation would be that they be accepted and you authorize the mayor to sign the easements.
Questions of Mr. Andrew?
Is this the only one, or are they going to need any more on this?
This is the last. They started at the northwest corner and worked their way northeast, and so this section, I think I have a map in there that has a highlighted circle, and so they started Ritgers Lane on the west end and have worked their way east, and this is phase 5 that will make all the lots on Ritgers Lane fully developable.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, I'll open it up to public comment. Seeing that there is none, I'll bring it back to the commission for action.
Mayor, I'd move we accept the offered utility drainage easement dedications in Block 5 of the Quail Meadows Estates Edition.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to accept the offered utility drainage easements in Quail Meadows Estates Edition. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 5-0. Administration.
Item 8.1, second reading ordinance number 09-10521, levying Business Improvement District Number 1 service fees for 2010.
This ordinance was passed on first reading November 2nd, and since that time, no comments have been received. Is there any further public comment? If not, I'll bring it back to the commission for action.
Mayor, I move we adopt ordinance number 09-10521 on second reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adopt on second reading ordinance number 09-10521. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Angel?
Aye.
Commissioner Arpke?
Aye.
Commissioner Jennings?
Aye.
Commissioner Peck?
Aye.
Mayor Larson?
Aye. Motion passes 5-0.
Item 8.2, award of contract for the wastewater pump station rehabilitation at pump station numbers 10 and 38, project number 05-1552.
Ms. Tasker.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Wastewater pump station number 10 was installed in 1957, and it's located on the south side of Broadway, about 500 feet northwest of the intersection of Broadway and 9th Street. Pump station number 38 was installed in 1968, and it's located at the southwest corner of 934 South Marymount Road, in that area south of the cemetery at Marymount and Crawford, down in that area. We're at a point where both of these pump stations require major rehabilitation. The main rehabilitation work that'll be done will be to remove and replace the pumps, install cathodic protection, repair and sandblast and paint the interior of the dry wells. Bids were received on November 3rd from two contractors. Smoky Hill LLC was the low bid at $164,715. The second bid was Stevens Contractors LLC in the amount of $181,720. The engineer's estimate for the project was $349,450. Funding for this project will be through bond proceeds, and we did include this project in the water and wastewater rate study that's been completed and is in the rates that we're currently utilizing. Staff recommends that the City Commission award the contract for wastewater pump station rehabilitation at pump station numbers 10 and 38, project number 051552 to Smoky Hill LLC of Salina, Kansas in the amount of $164,715. This time I'd be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Why was our estimate so high?
Good question. I thought someone would ask that, so I brought the bid tabs with me. As I look at it, it looks like our staff felt everything was going to be about almost twice as difficult. When I look at remove and replace the pump equipment, one contractor was $65,000, the other contractor was around $85,000, and we were around $105,000. So somewhere in that. And then also the repair work to the wet well, it looks like we estimated that to be a lot more difficult than at least what our low bidder perceives it to be. And Smoky Hill's currently working on our pump station at the water plant and then our wastewater project. So they're pretty familiar with this work. So I would guess they've got a pretty good idea how to get the job done.
What was the amount allotted for this project?
We had allotted about $350,000 in our estimate. It's a little over a $2 million request that we have in the bonds, but it has several pump station and some force main rehab work. So this falls, our engineer's estimate was very close to what was allotted.
Okay, good. Any other questions of Ms. Tasker? Thank you. I'll open it up to public comment. If not, I'll bring it back to the commission for action.
Mayor, I move we award the contract for the wastewater pump station rehabilitation at pump station numbers 10 and 38, project number 05-1552.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we award the contract for the wastewater pump station rehabilitation to Smoky Hill LLC, project number 05-1552. In the amount of $164,715. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 5-0.
Item 8.3, award of contract for the water treatment plant softening basins rehabilitation, project number 092779.
Ms. Tasker?
Thank you again, Mayor and Commissioners. The steel components in the two solids contact softening basins at the water treatment plant are revealing numerous areas where the paint system has failed and the metal is exposed. These basins have been in service for 10 years, and their condition is such that sandblasting and repainting these metal components is necessary. Bids were received on October 27th from several contractors. The low bid was Kane Painting Company, LLC, out of Newton. Since that time, their bid appeared to be very low. We've contacted them, and they acknowledged that they submitted their bid in error, and they've asked us to not award the contract to them, and as a result of that, their bid bond, which is a cashier's check, will be forfeited for the project. The next low bid was from C2I Incorporated out of Hutchinson, Kansas for $176,687. Whitehead Brothers Painting Incorporated at $289,000. Mogan Painting Company Incorporated at $388,818. And Superior Industrial Maintenance Company Incorporated in the amount of $524,350. Our engineer's estimate on this was $220,000. C2I Incorporated, who's the apparent low bidder, we've contacted several of their references from food grade projects to pipeline and fuel storage tank projects. And what we found is that these companies were very satisfied with the work that they've done, and they've been required to follow very stringent paint specifications, testing requirements, and safety requirements, and we feel comfortable that they can complete this project for us. A budget allocation of $220,000 for softening basin rehabilitation was included in the 2009 Capital Improvement Program under the Water and Wastewater Enhancements category. Staff recommends that the City Commission award the contract for the water treatment plant softening basin rehabilitation, project number 092779 to C2I Incorporated of Hutchinson, Kansas, in the amount of $176,687. Be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Do we anticipate that this will survive 10 more years? Or with newer technology and painting, do we think it might last longer?
I hope for at least 10 years. With the lime and the process that it's in, it's a pretty aggressive area as far as a water treatment plant. So,
is there also some kind of a warranty or some kind of a guarantee on this for a certain amount of time?
We typically have a warranty of 1 year for these type of projects.
Okay. Any other questions of Ms. Tasker? Thank you. I'll open it up to public comment. Seeing that there is none, I'll bring it back to the Commission for action.
Mayor, I'd move that we award the contract for the water treatment plant softening basin rehabilitation, project number 09-2779 to C2I Incorporated of Hutchinson, Kansas, in the amount of $176,687.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to award the contract to C2I Inc. of Hutchinson, Kansas, in the amount of $176,687 for the water treatment plant softening rehabilitation project number 09-2779. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 5-0.
Item 8.4, resolution number 096675, approving the advisability and authorizing improvements in the Grand Prairie subdivision, and authorize the mayor to execute an improvement district development agreement with Cornerstone Development.
Mr. Scrigg.
Thank you, Mayor. You have before you two resolutions. Resolution number 096675 is your typical resolution of advisability and authorization for construction of public improvements funded with special assessments. Resolution 096676 is a resolution authorizing the execution of a development agreement between the City and Cornerstone Development Group, the developers of the Grand Prairie subdivision. The second resolution is necessitated by the format of this special assessment district, which I will elaborate on as I report further. As you're probably already aware, the Grand Prairie subdivision is a golf course development located on private property between holes of the Salina Municipal Golf Course. We've had some previous action in terms of property transactions between the city and the developers to make that possible. Since then, they've secured the necessary permissions to install improvements across the golf course as well as adjoining private property, such that they have the necessary on-site and off-site easements for the proposed improvements. Staff has discussed with them in great detail the project and the phasing of the project, and this does involve phased construction in 2 phases for the subdivision. And they have chosen to solicit private construction contracts, which is feasible by the statutes that provide for special assessment, and is how we've proceeded on these 2 resolutions. That's required considerable staff coordination, and I want to recognize engineering staff and all the work that they've done, Dan Stack and Wayne Nelson in particular, as well as quite a bit of legal work in terms of securing the off-site easements and working with the off-site property owners, as well as the development of the development agreement, which has involved Greg Bankston and our bond counsel. So at this point, what we have before us is a negotiated development agreement for private construction of what will be constructed, how it will be initially funded, and that it will be reimbursed with special assessment proceeds at the point that the improvements are constructed, inspected, and accepted by the city. It goes on to provide provisions with respect to financial securities. So the project is broken into 2 phases. All the necessary improvements for Phase 1 are included in the special assessment that is part of this petition, and that also then necessitates improvements that ultimately will benefit and serve Phase 2. The assessments are broken out between Phase 1 and Phase 2, with 100% of the benefit that could be allocated to Phase 1 accounted for in this particular petition, as well as part of the benefits that accrue to Phase 2 at this time being identified in this petition. As Phase 2 develops further with additional street and sanitary sewer, it will be subject to an additional benefit district and additional assessments. So when all is complete, the assessments you see for Phase 2 in this proposal today will be combined with the assessments with the remainder of the improvements for Phase 2 to create the total special assessments against the lots in Phase 2. As far as the statutory requirements necessary to proceed with the petition, the report incorrectly notes that it meets Condition 2, and it actually meets Condition 3, which is the petition is signed by the owners of record, whether resident or not, of more than half of the area liable to be assessed. In fact, 100% of the ownership is represented by Cornerstone Development, who have executed the petition. An engineering feasibility report has been attached for your review, and in summary, lots in Phase 1 of the development have an estimated special assessment of $34,531.52 apiece. Lots in Phase 2 of the development are currently subject to special assessments of $12,334.01, with lots in Phase 2 subject to additional improvement costs when the remaining improvements, such as streets and sewers, are installed as part of Phase 2. In the interim, the assessments levied against Lot 2 will be the responsibility of the developers as the owners of those lots. Resolution number 096675 makes findings about the advisability of the proposed improvements, and as the staff report notes, the proposed assessments of $34,500 are significant, but considered advisable in light of the unique nature of the subdivision as a golf course development. And I would tell you that staff and the developers have had quite a detailed conversations about the price point, the special assessments, what they're paying for, how they're being allocated, and it took quite a bit of coordination to get to this point, and we feel that they're appropriate and the risks are accounted for. The development agreement coincides with the city's policy regarding financial guarantees, and the details of that are elaborated on in the report. They have options in terms of submitting a letter of credit equal to 35% of the construction cost, or financial securities equal to 20% of the project costs. Furthermore, our policy provides that those securities are released when 35% of the development is complete or 5 years have passed. Since this involves Phase 2 lots that are partially developed, the development agreement specifically addresses that possibility and says that the portion of the financial securities attributable to Phase 2 will remain in effect. Additional securities will have to be posted, and basically the clock won't start until Phase 2 is completed. So that 5-year time frame will not elapse based on the execution of the development agreement. Rather, it'll be based on completion of Phase 2. So we have kind of phased financial securities as well. The developers have negotiated construction contracts and are prepared to provide the contractors authorization to proceed upon City Commission approval of the benefit district and the development agreement, and that's probably the biggest difference from what you may be used to in terms of special assessments. We've coordinated with bond counsel. We've confirmed that we are proceeding in compliance with the statutes, and what we have set up is a mechanism whereby the developers can negotiate private contracts, administer those private contracts, and then seek reimbursement from us through special assessment reimbursement once the terms of the development agreement are met. From their perspective, I think that is advantageous to them in that they can negotiate directly with the contractors, negotiate price, as well as not be subject to our time frame in terms of a public bidding process. And that's something that they specifically desired and that we tried to accommodate them with through this development agreement. In terms of financial cost, all of the costs are to be assessed against the improvement district. It'll be financed through temporary notes, which will then be rolled into long-term bonds. The dates of those bonds depend on completion of the project in relation to when we would go out for annual bond issuance. So knowing what we know about this project, it could either be 2010 or 2011, just depending on when they complete all the required improvements. In terms of recommended actions, we've identified 3 options for your consideration. One would be to vote to approve the resolutions that are before you. The other would be to provide additional direction to city staff regarding any terms or conditions that are contained in the resolution or development agreements, and request that we bring you revised documents for further consideration. And the third would be to conclude that the proposed improvements are not advisable and vote to deny Cornerstone Development's request to create and designate an improvement district. It's recommended that you vote to approve both of the resolutions, thus determining it advisable and authorizing the benefit district, and then also authorizing execution of the development agreement. I realize that's a lot of detail, and this is a new approach to special assessments, so I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Questions of staff? If not, I'll open it up to public comment.
Madam Chairman, my name is William Humphrey. On behalf of my partners Bill Shepard and Steve Rennick, I would, and in anticipation of your vote of approval, I would like to take just a moment to thank a few people who have been so helpful in this extended project. Mr. Greg Bankston, who has helped us wade through the legalese, and when we hit an absolutely insurmountable brick wall, helped us to maintain courage and get over it. And of course, the engineering staff, Dan Stack and Wayne Nelson, have and will helped us and will continue throughout the project, I'm sure. Steve Snyder has been most helpful in helping to work with the golf course and the golf course staff, and we're most appreciative of that. And Mike Schrag, his boundless energy has actually brought this thing to this point, and we are so grateful to him. And way back in the beginning, when we had this dream of doing it, it was Mr. Dean Andrew who gave us the foresight and courage to carry on. And I'd like to publicly thank each and every one of them.
Thank you, sir. I know it was a difficult work in progress, and I know that there's a lot of entities that were involved, so on behalf of the city, I appreciate your comments, and I'm sure I am appreciative of your cooperation and city's cooperation and work with you also. Any other public comments? If not, I'll bring it back to the commission for action.
Mayor, I move we adopt resolution number 096675 related to establishing a special improvement district in the Grand Prairie subdivision.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt resolution number 09-6675, approving the advisability and authorization in the Grand Prairie subdivision and authorize the mayor to execute an improvement district development agreement with Cornerstone Development. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 5-0.
Mayor, I move we adopt resolution number 09-6676, which authorizes the mayor to execute an improvement district development agreement between the City of Salina and Cornerstone Development.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt Resolution Number 09-6676, authorizing the execution and delivery of the development agreement between the city and Cornerstone Development Group, LLC. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 5-0.
Mayor, I'd move we recess into executive session for 20 minutes to discuss with legal counsel matters subject to the attorney-client privilege for the reason that public discussion of those matters would waive the privilege and adversely affect the city's interest in the matters, and reconvene in this room at 4:43 p.m.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we recess into executive session. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. We are in executive session. Do you anticipate any action?
We do not.
No action. We are in executive session.
CDs. These are the cherry-picked favorites from those CDs, all